Well, locally, I've been successful in creating jobs out at Southern California Logistics Airport. We have created, since I've been on the council, in excess of 1,000 jobs in my estimation directly. Indirect jobs is probably in the number 2,000 to 3,000. But I think the reality is government's got to get out of the way. The only way that you're going to create jobs here locally and throughout the nation is to reduce regulation, reduce taxes, and that's 100% what I'm committed to going back to Washington, D.C. So we have got to eliminate all the regulation that we have on business today. We talk about the Environmental Protection Agency and what they are doing to businesses in California, and we've got to eliminate them. But we also need to look at reducing taxes on businesses so that they can go out and hire people again. And that's the only way you're going to create jobs. The only way you will create jobs is reducing regulation and reducing taxes. So that's what I would do in Washington, D.C.
As I travel through this district, I keep hearing the same thing. I talk to business owners, they're truckers, they're miners. They need access to their national forest, to the desert lands. We have enough assets, enough minerals and product in our desert land to fix the entire California economy, if not our federal economy. And through Feinstein and other legislatures, they've blocked us out. They've shut down our mines. We have silver mines, we have boron mines, we have an excessive amount of minerals. We have minerals that exist in Death Valley that exist nowhere else in the world, and we've been locked out. I want to go to Washington and then do these heinous environmental protection acts that have locked us out and kept us from our livelihood and our jobs.
Sorry, you're out of order. Forgive me here. I thought I had my John Pinkerton. Sorry. Would you please answer the question? Do you need me to repeat it?
No, I'm a high school counselor. I'm used to confusion.
Okay.
I know that this might not go over well here, but we're going to need more than just to get out of the way of government. We're going to need a government that's a little more proactive in helping folks find work. Now, I believe that we could have some creative approaches to finding people work. I work around a lot of parents and stuff that they come in every day telling me they're looking for work. Okay, so just having government get out of their way is not going to solve their problems. I'd like to see a little bit more of approach like we had back in the 30s. We're in a very, very difficult time. We were able to spend money, let's say yellow card, we were able to spend money to help banks get out. Why can't we help working people get their feet on the ground? Why can't we do that? That's all the time I need.
Sure, absolutely. The answer to the question is actually multi-layered. Let's be clear about it. There's not a person up here who's spoken to this point who hasn't been accurate to some degree. But it is a bigger problem than just any one simple answer can give you. The reality is we do need less regulation. We need less regulation from the federal, we need less regulation from the state in order to let job creators actually do the job they want to do, which is build their businesses and strive and be successful. But there is so much more that we can be doing as well. For instance, the Small Business Administration administers loans every single year to people who want to start businesses, people who want to get involved and have their own livelihood in their hands rather than in the hands of some other employer. We have the ability to make sure that they have that opportunity, and we should be making sure that organizations like the Small Business Administration have the resources it needs to effectively seek out and help people in the communities who deserve it most. And ultimately, if we do not do that, if we do not take a global approach to job creation, we're never going to be able to solve the problem. But collectively and with all stakeholders, I believe we can.
Thank you, Anthony. Bill Jensen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, got a microphone instead. Ladies and gentlemen, the crash in this market is something that's affected everybody. And one of the things that we need to pay attention to is that if we're going to create jobs and you're going to send a congressman up there, that congressman had better be able to join arms with some other people and fight to reduce government, to reduce spending, to reduce taxes, and take a shot at eliminating the IRS completely if possible, but overhaul it on its deathbed. That IRS needs to be done away with. There isn't a person in here who would vote to keep the IRS the way it is right now. To reduce government means, in my opinion, to reduce, if not eliminate, the Department of Interior, the Department of Energy, the Department of Education, and the EPA and OSHA that have strangled business to the point that they've gone overseas and left us with no jobs and a housing crisis with a crashed market. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. I'm a broker. They need to be overhauled. I know how to go and do that. I'm with the Ron Paul guys on how to take down the Federal Reserve, and we will do that. And all of that will create jobs. Thank you.
How would you promote jobs locally?
Locally? I think it's partly people have to be inspired to go out and work. I think that's a big part of it. The more we give people, the harder it is for them to actually get off the couch and go start a little business. I know I've started little businesses all my life. I'm a handyman, I work construction, I've always worked. I've seen economies come and go up and down. Always stayed busy because I went out and I did a little advertising. And people would call me and I'd go out and do the job. And it just, whatever your field is, I don't care what it is, you can do it. You can get out there and do it, but you've got to, the first step is you. And, if you're currently taking from the government, I would take a look at that whole program, the food stamps, welfare, and everything, because I know some people deserve it and need it. We have a safety net for that purpose, but some people are using it.
Napolitano, Dr. What ideas do you have to create conditions to promote job growth?
There are two things that I'm going to do. The first thing that I'm going to do is simply get elected. And the reason that I say that is because the first thing you have to do to accomplish any goal is to get people's attention. And the attention of people will be focused on this area because you'll have a real plastic surgeon here as a representative in Congress who used to be the debate partner of Nino Scalia. You may have heard of him. He was in the television and the news in the past couple of days. And I'm sorry, I got a little tongue-tied the first time I got up here about those cards there. Sorry about that. The second thing that I'm going to do, I said there were two things. The second thing that I'm going to do is the same thing that Newt Gingrich did when he was in the Congress. And that is promise and do. Be in the district at least one day every month that I'm in office and come and stand in front of a population like this and ask questions and answer questions and tell people what's going on in Washington and get ideas from the people in the district. Thank you.
Thank you,
I think the key word here is locally. How do we get jobs locally? There are companies that want to relocate here and want to open up, but we don't have a skilled workforce. That's the problem. And we could bring jobs here. So we need to work on that. And with Obama giving all of the unemployment, it makes you wonder, I mean, they're getting 99 weeks of unemployment. That's more than enough to get an associate's degree. So why isn't there a stipulation and prepare them so that when the market comes back, they're ready to go to work or those jobs are ready to be here? Obviously, overregulation is a big problem. I work at Victor Valley Wastewater. We have a lot of issues with the EPA and different regulations, and it causes big problems and user rate increases. So that would be definitely an issue, and lower corporate taxes will help companies grow and create jobs and stimulate our economy.
Thank you, Angela. We are going to our second question, and we're going with Gregg Imus. It's easy to say that Washington has it all wrong and that Congress needs an overhaul, but many candidates go to Washington with good intentions only to have their ideals compromised. What in your life would be an example to prove that you will not be compromised?
I learned a lot as Chief of Staff for Assemblywoman Donnelly in spending some time up in Sacramento. There's a lot of, just like Washington, Sacramento is much the same. There's lobbyists, there's nightlife, there's a lot going on. There's lobbyists wanting to give you handouts. They tell you if they take your money, you don't have to represent them, but the legislature's fallen that trap. I'll do in Washington exactly what we did when I went up there with the Assemblyman. I'll rent a place far out. I slept on an air mattress. I slept in a sleeping bag because I don't want to be part of Washington. I want to go out in there. I don't want a square foot of carpet either. I want to go in there with my principles, cast my vote, and leave the building and come back to the district. I never want to be part of the system, and I won't fall into their traps.
Let's start with, I've been married almost 34 years. Anybody that's done that knows that takes a little commitment. I worked my way through college. I worked my way through a private high school. I worked my way through a private college. I know the other side of the whole public debate, but I've also spent a good deal of my life in a public institution, and I'm very proud of the work that public workers do. I built a house with my own hands in Pinion Hills, and I love that house, and I raised my family there. And I didn't take a dime of government money doing it. And there were times that I was a little short of money and had wondered where we were going to come up with the next money for meals and things like that, like some other folks, like some folks in here right now. There are things that the government needs to do for the population. Oh, man, it's red.
Thank you, John Pinkerton. Anthony Adams.
Because I've seen the ugliness on both sides of the aisle. I know perfectly well what it means to stand up and have to do what you believe to be courageous in the face of people mounting angry calls at you, hurling insults at you, being willing to actually threaten your life. I've had to live with the CHP at my home, protecting my wife and I because of the death threats that we received, because we did what we thought was right. I know exactly what it means to stand up and be courageous because I've done it. I've lived that. And I did it for a noble cause, to try to make my state a limited government state. You may have heard a little bit about the tax increases that I was responsible for. Make no mistake about it, I did. But also make no mistake about it, we reduced the size of government on a permanent basis over $20 billion. And if there's another candidate up here who can say they've taken $20 billion out of state government, I welcome them to challenge me. Thank you.
Thank you,
I think if you're going to go to Washington, D.C., one of the best ways that you can be in a position to be unapproachable for compromise is to have a plan. You need to know how to work with Congressman Issa on oversight if you've seen that guy grilling even Mary Nichols from the California cardboard that will not come and testify when he is trying to unravel what is going to kill trucking and mining in this district. You have to know how to work with Congressman McKeon on the Armed Services Committee to help him defend and protect this military before they gut it completely and sack it to the point that China could overrun us with the ability to just say, we've got more power than you do in the Pacific. Have a nice day. Why don't you stay home? That we better watch out for, ladies and gentlemen, and that includes taking care of our people that are injured. You better know how to work with the appropriations and the ways and means when it comes to bringing money back to this district and not letting Obama just spend it into oblivion. Thank you.
Well, I obviously don't have the political experience of these people here, but I do know that anybody going to Washington for the first time is not going to part the seat when they walk through the door. I know that for a fact. You may want to do a whole list of things. That's wonderful. I would like to do a whole list of things. But it takes a lot of hard work. You've got to build alliance with people. You've got to build this thing. It doesn't just happen because you walk there. You're what I'm trying to say. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Just because if I went to Washington, but I do have one, I would have one vote. Any one of us here would have one vote. You could cast that vote, you could talk to other people, try to lead them to your way of thinking. That's the only thing you can do when you go.
Thank you, Joseph Napolitano. Dr. Gregg Imus.
Well, that happening that you're referring to is called Potomac fever. And before I give you a sidebar, before I tell you what in my life I think will prevent me from catching Potomac fever, is that my very best friend in high school was married to Lyndon Johnson's secretary, And so she told me, and she told me about some of her colleagues, what happened to them. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to see her after I've been there a couple of weeks and say how I'm doing. Well, I think the only thing that I've done is what everybody else on this stage has done. Namely, we've walked away from a more relaxed type of existence that we're familiar with, and we're going into something that is relatively uncertain, certainly uncertain, and something that we're not, expert at, and things of that sort. So that alone, I think, bespeaks being courageous for myself and everybody on the stage.
Thank you, Dr. George. Thank you.
If you look at my life experiences, I've been told that I couldn't do, a lot of things that I've been very successful at, including having a baby, going to college, getting elected. And I've proven that. And on my record on City Council, you'll see that I have no problem standing alone to keep a promise to the people. And I don't take special interest money, and I don't take endorsements. And if I can't go to Congress with those beliefs and those morals, then I don't need to be there.
Thank you.
What I would say is that on my desk in Congress will sit one book that many of you have heard of. It's called Capital Punishment by Jack Abramoff. If you want to know what it's like to be back there and what congressmen have to go through and the types of bribes that occur, it will be the book that I reference and the book that'll be in front of any lobbyist that comes in to meet with me. Secondly, I just stood up for something that I believe in very strongly. I'm pro-life. I will not allow Planned Parenthood to come into Victorville. I'm 100% adamantly against it, and I will fight it. I don't care if the law of the land allows them to be there. I plan on appealing anything that comes before this city. If they are administratively approved, I will appeal it. If it's approved at the Planning Commission, I will appeal it there. I will fight it until the end.
Thank you, Ryan.